Welcome back, drawing buddies. Today we are going to draw the Incredible Hulk from pencils to inks to colors. If that sounds like something you'd like to do, let's draw. The Incredible Hulk's first appearance was in The Incredible Hulk #1 in 1962. 1961, 62, and 63 was kind of like the rebirth of Marvel Comics as far as heroes go. You got Spider-Man. Well, first was the Fantastic Four, then Spider-Man, and then you got the Hulk and Iron Man and Thor. And then in 63, they had to capitalize on the whole success of everything else. So they were going to publish the X-Men as an answer to the Fantastic Four. And then they were going to do Daredevil as an answer to Spider-Man, but Bill Everett took too long to draw it, so they went with the Avengers. And absolutely none of that has anything to do with the Hulk. Well, actually, the Avengers does. The Hulk was part of the Avengers team. In the Hulk's first appearance in #1, he's actually gray, but printing technology at the time was pretty terrible. So instead of keeping him gray, in issue #2, he was green. They didn't explain it. They didn't do anything. Hey, Incredible Hulk, this thing happened and now you're green. They're like, no, we're not going to say anything. We're just going to make him green because it's easier to print a consistent green color. And from that point on, he was green. And I'm pretty sure his initial run only went for 6 issues. And then he was in Tales to Astonish for a while. I don't remember exactly how many issues that were, but there's some classic issues with him and the Submariner and him and Silver Surfer and all that fun stuff. And then they started publishing him as the Incredible Hulk again in issue 102 in 1968. I'm pretty sure that picked up the numbering from Tales to Astonish, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. He didn't stay green. I mean, I think in 328, I believe it is, they made him gray again for a little while. You know, there's been many Hulks. There's been Hulk Smash Hulk. There's been Smart Hulk, there's been Immortal Hulk, there's been many different color Hulks. I mean, they haven't all been Bruce Banner. Like the Red Hulk was General Ross. I'm pretty sure there was a Yellow Hulk. I don't know. For all I know, there's been a Blue and Purple Hulk at this point. I know there was a Purple Hulk in one of the cartoons my son used to watch. It was a parody of the Avengers. Thor played the guitar, and I wish I remember which one it was. I want to say it was Dexter's Laboratory, but I'm probably wrong about that. So if you know what that was, again, in the comments, let me know. I'm a little rusty on my pop culture knowledge. I'm getting old and my brain's only functioning at certain levels these days. For the drawing, I've been thinking about it, and some of my drawings have been a little flat lately. You know, not a lot of motion. Not very dynamic, and I kind of want to get more into that vein. So I decided this Hulk was going to be a dynamic, angry, coming at you kind of Hulk, and see if I could pull that off and go from there. And next week's video, it's a woman jumping kind of towards us. It's not super foreshortened, but I went for a more dynamic pose with some minor foreshortening in it. I haven't decided exactly who she's going to be yet. I just kind of got the outline of her jumping. And I also have an idea what the background's going to be, but I haven't decided on the character yet. The one I'm thinking, I would have to rewatch a bunch of episodes of a TV show to catch up on. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that by next week, so we might change her costume and her hair, but we'll see. Okay, so the Hulk, he's kind of not easy to draw. I mean, the body is fine. He's just a big hulking dude. No pun intended. And, just big, green, and muscular. But if you don't get his face right, he does not look good at all. I was originally going to profile here, and I almost think I should have stuck with it, because this was looking cool till I got all crazy and decided to 3/4 it, which also added probably about 15 minutes onto the drawing, because I actually started inking it with the face, and then I just didn't like it, so I actually went back and redrew sections of the face. I think I cut that out of the video because it annoyed the hell out of me, but that's part of what happens, you know. Sometimes you're just not happy and you just start a certain part over or add on to another part. Sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. So I was introduced to the Hulk much earlier than most other comic characters, because when I was a kid, there was the TV show, Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, and that was like a cultural phenomenon back then, and everybody watched it. That and Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman show with Linda Carter. So I was watching all those, and actually one of my first memories, I guess you call it a core memory since it's something I never forgot, and it was definitely sometime before 1981, because my grandmother died in 1982, and it's of her. I was out shopping with my mother and my grandmother, so I was maybe 4, 5, 6 years old at the most. We were at some, local store like a Kmart or something, and there was a model kit. It was a white van with Hulk decals on it. And I was definitely too young to have something like this. I'm not going to build a model at 6 years old. But for some reason I wanted that thing, and I wasn't like a jerky kid about it or anything. I just asked my mother, I said, Mom, can I get the Hulk car? Because, the Hulk TV show and Hulk was cool. And my mother's like, no, honey, you don't need that, We'll get you something next time we go to the store. And what I remember is my grandmother, a robust old Polish woman, grabbing my mother by the hair and saying, if my baby wants a Hulk car, you buy him a Hulk car. And then they got me the Hulk car. I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it. It's probably a casualty of when my brother's girlfriend threw out all my toys when we moved when I was senior in high school, because I wasn't there to help. I was at Great Adventure because we went there after my prom and we had to move that weekend, so they had my brother's girlfriend move my bedroom, and she decided since I was 18 years old I didn't need to have toys anymore, so everything in the boxes in my closet, because I had a small bedroom in a condo, she decided to throw them all away. And 98% of my toys were in there. The only things that survived were my Black Lion from Voltron, a couple random Star Wars figures that ended up in another box, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else ended up in a dumpster. And I went running to that dumpster after I found out everything was missing the next day, and I guess it was garbage day because the dumpster was empty, all the boxes were gone. So that kind of sucked. So the moral of the story is, if you're a kid and you're collecting stuff and your family's moving, no matter what, make sure you're there, because they might have some random woman move your stuff and she throws all the cool things away on you. And it's kind of stuff that I couldn't replace at the time because there were no eBays, and those cool stores that sell all the old toys didn't exist. And if I bought all that stuff now, I don't even want to think what it would cost, because, I had all the superpower stuff. I had all the G1 Transformers, not all of them, but I had a good chunk of the G1 Transformers. I had some G.I. Joe. I had Star Wars. I had all the Star Wars. Well, not all, but a good chunk of the Star Wars from 1977 up to the Power of the Force. I don't think I had a Hulk action figure. I had the Wolverine, the Daredevil, and the Spider-Man from the Superpowers back in the 80s. But at the time, superhero figures were kind of crappy. They didn't really have like the McFarlane style figures, and they didn't have the what are those called? The Marvel Legends, the Marvel Legends ones. They didn't have anything like that. I mean, I had some DC ones because I had some figures from the 1989 Batman movie and Batman Returns. I had some of the animated figures, like I had the original Harley Quinn, and I think I had a Batgirl. And I had Batman, of course, and Robin. But not really much Marvel, because the Marvel figures weren't all that cool. And I do remember after we moved, and later in the 90s, I had I bought a Spider-Man figure because it was super articulate. And that wasn't really a thing at the time. And I don't remember what line it was from, but I bought it because it was like really posable, and I could use it for drawings, and I could pose Spider-Man and then copy the pose and then turn it into whoever I wanted to. But yeah, I don't think I've ever actually had a Hulk action figure. But the Hulk was never really one of my favorite characters. I mean, I had a friend, well, I still have a friend, he's a good guy. He's obsessed with the Hulk, man. He's literally at one point had every issue of the Hulk published. I mean, he had to sell a lot of the important ones for various personal life reasons, but man, he put it all together. Hulk 1 through whatever it was at the time, he had all the variant covers. It was quite a collection. And he even had a couple Hulk 181s, and I know because he got 2 of them from me back in the day when I was able to have something like that, because I'd find them in random places. I never really collected the Hulk regularly. I usually collected it if there was an artist on it I liked, or if I saw stories that I thought were cool. Like I got most of the McFarlane run when it came out, including 341, that one with the classic cover, Wolverine with the claws up and the Hulk's face reflecting in it. And that cover has been copied, geez, many times. There's been many homages of that cover done. And the one of Hulk jumping in front of the moon, and one of them separating the letters. I would just buy Hulks when I thought the cover was cool, which meant almost all the McFarlane ones. I really liked the Dale Keown run, even though I guess he turned out to be a terrible person. But he was still a great artist in the 90s, and nobody knew that, so those were cool. I had all those. There were also random issues I bought, like Sam Keith did a really, really cool issue of the Hulk. I don't know what number it is. I should stop and look it up, but I'm not going to. And it's the Hulk. He's on a train. It's when he was gray, the Gray Hulk. When they made him gray again. And he's on a train. Somehow he's in the cart, like a vagabond. And the other vagabond in the train who he's talking to ends up being Mr. Hyde. Marvel has their own version of Jekyll and Hyde. So the Hulk ends up fighting Mr. Hyde on a train. And it's just a fun issue. And Sam Keith's art is like perfect for somebody like the Hulk. If you haven't heard of Sam Keith, look him up. He's most famous for doing the Max for Image Comics, and he had a long run of doing covers and a couple interiors for Marvel Comics Presents in the mid to late 90s. And those are excellent, because then he got to draw like Ghost Rider, you got to see him draw Wolverine, you got to see him draw Venom, and you name it. If the character was in Marvel Comics Presents with Wolverine, Sam Keith got to draw it, and that was pretty awesome. In fact, talking about this, I'm realizing that most of the Hulk stories that I actually read growing up were written by Peter David. And Peter David, he was one of the great writers of, I would say pretty much ever in comic books. He did a lot of really important runs, and he died not that long ago, maybe a couple years ago. And it was kind of crappy because, as a comic artist, you're a freelancer, so you don't really get things like health insurance and whatnot. And I remember there were Kickstarters and people raising money when he was sick, and he died anyway. And it's kind of sucks that he kind of died poor. At least I think he did. But yeah, it happened to a lot of comic creators. You see Kickstarters, and every once in a while, like Bill Mantello, who did Rocket Raccoon, I think, or was it Howard the Duck? A lot of that stuff happens. Comic creators kind of get the short end because they do what's called work for hire, where they don't own anything. So, sometimes they get residual, sometimes they don't. It depends on the contracts they sign. And they keep no rights to any other work, Marvel or DC or whoever. They usually get that, unless it's creator owned. But yeah, Peter David, look him up. He did a lot of really cool Hulk stories. I think he did Future Imperfect too, which is probably the newest Hulk story I've ever read. Now we're done with the pencils, and now we're moving on to the inks. The inks go pretty quick on the Hulk, actually, because I cut out the part where I redrew the head. Sorry about that, but you guys didn't need to see me getting mad at the head and redrawing it again. It wasn't an important part of the drawing, because you can see it here. Anyway, back to Hulk, Future Imperfect. That's Peter David, I'm pretty sure. The Hulk, in the future, he becomes the Maestro. He basically defeats all the other heroes. He takes over the Earth, and I think they bring the current Hulk to stop him. I don't exactly remember what happens, because, again, I haven't read this thing since it came out. But I do remember the splash page of the Maestro's lair, and it has all the stuff that he's acquired from all the heroes he defeated. You got Professor X's wheelchair, you got Wolverine's skeleton, you got Captain America's shield, the costumes of parts of the costumes of other heroes. There's even a couple DC Easter eggs thrown in there. Like I think there's a Superman cape and things like that. He's got Thor's hammer. And I don't know how they ended up beating the Maestro, but he was pretty nasty. He was like a long-haired, bald, angry Hulk. And then another more modern one that I read was the Planet Hulk and the World War Hulk, that one. The Illuminati, which was Doctor Strange, Professor X, Black Panther, I believe the Submariner. They all decided that the Hulk was just too dangerous and they wanted to get him off of Earth. So they put him on a spaceship and they just sent him off to some random planet. And he landed there. I think the planet was called Scar. Don't quote me on that. And basically the Hulk takes over the planet. And then, something happens and he ends up back on Earth and he's mad. And he's basically so angry and so irradiated that, just him stepping on the ground shakes the planet and he's on the verge of pretty much destroying it. And I think it takes the Sentry to stop him and they both end up knocking each other out. And for the longest time, that was one of the most powerful versions of the Hulk. And I'm sorry, I still can't see a world where there's a version of the Hulk that beats current Superman. Even that one below all, I guess it's an avatar for the opposite of the one above all, which is basically Stan Lee or the writer of the book in the Marvel Universe. But, I don't think that was main issue canon. I think that was an alternate version of the Hulk. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments, but that's what I read recently, so I'm sticking with it, or I just have a faulty memory, and I want to believe that Superman would whoop the Hulk's butt. But if you're going to pull in a non-canon alternate version of the Hulk, then there's Cosmic Armor Superman, which is almost the same thing, so the best you could hope for is a stalemate with those two. So it occurred to me that I've been drawing a lot of green characters lately. I did The Bride of Frankenstein 2 weeks ago. This week I'm doing the Hulk, and when I was thinking about what to do for next week's video, my original idea was I wanted to draw a mutant turtle, really moody in the rain. Mutant turtle, probably Donatello hanging out on a ledge by himself. And then maybe eventually I'd add all the other turtles and we'd do a series. But I figured that would be too much green. So sadly I'm going to put the mutant turtle off for at least 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. Get some other colors in here other than green characters. And then I did a convention this weekend where I go and I sell prints of these things. I actually made 5 prints of everything I've done for this channel so far. I have a few left. I got another convention coming up in a month, and I don't know. I'll figure out what to do with them. If not, I'll just hold on to them till the next one and just keep having them for the conventions until I need more. But I saw a really cool drawing of the turtles there. Well, it was one turtle. It was a guy, I don't know who drew it. It was a sample that somebody had who goes around and asking you if you need prints because he wants you to use him to get your prints made, which I found a good place around here to do it, so I don't need that guy to do them. Although he did do really nice work, and he showed me a sample of like an embossed turtle on a ledge in the rain, and it's like, oh, that's kind of like what I was thinking. And it made me sad that I've drawn so many green characters that I gotta put that off for a while. Or who knows, maybe I'll just do it, because, I don't think anybody here is going to complain that I did 3 green characters in a month and a half or 2 months. But maybe I'm wrong. Guess I'll find out if I do it. And if any of you people who watch this far into the video and the whole thing, I know there's at least 2 of you, let me know if you want to see that turtle. And maybe I will just do it for, not next week, because I already got that one planned, but the week after. Have a little gap between my green characters, I'd also like to do Invader Zim, but that would be like a 10-minute video. But he's fun, so maybe I will do that one of these days just as a quick cartoon so you can see how to draw something weird like that too, because I've drawn Zim a few times for prints and stuff and just because I wanted to. But then again, that would be another green character. But I guess green's popular for character skin colors. Who'd have known? But I should probably talk more about the Hulk. Let's talk about Hulk movies. Well, not real movies, the TV movies. The one I remember was the one with Daredevil. And, he had the black suit, kind of like he does in the Born Again thing that came out. When he first starts out before he gets the red suit from Gladiator. And that was a fun one. Don't ask me anything that happened in it, because, again, I haven't seen it since who knows when. But I do remember the costume, and I remember it not being the worst thing to come out of the 90s as far as superhero stuff goes. There's also another one with the Hulk and Thor. And Thor looked kind of silly. He had the fur on and the brown breastplate and a helmet that looked kind of silly on him. But, it was the 80s, 90s, There's only so much they could do back then. Computer graphics weren't a thing. Budgets weren't nearly as high as they are now because people didn't really want to see that kind of stuff back then. Other than Batman's superhero movies weren't really vogue until I think Spider-Man 2002 and the X-Men in 2000 were cool. Then of course there was Blade. Blade was awesome. Then the Marvel movies started. They started out with Iron Man technically, but there was the Incredible Hulk movie too that came out that was part of that universe with Ed Norton, and I really like that one. It gets a weird rap, but no, I thought Ed Norton was a great Hulk, and I think it would have been fun if they brought him back as the Hulk instead of Mark Ruffalo, but I guess sometimes Ed Norton could be hard to work with, so, they replaced him I think he wanted too much control over the scripts or whatever, but I'd have to read into that some more, but that's just what I remember the story being. And I thought Mark Ruffalo did a good job up until they went to Smart Hulk and they kind of nerfed the Hulk. The Hulk never really had that big crush moment, except for like maybe in Avengers 2 when he's fighting the Hulkbuster armor in the city. I forgot where it was, somewhere in the Middle East, and they pretty much mow the place to the ground. But you never really got that cool Hulk moment in the DCU, because when you thought you were going to get that, he gets his butt kicked by Thanos, and then I don't know how they spun it, but then the Hulk was afraid to come out, and Banner had to use the Hulkbuster armor in that movie to fight in the Wakanda scene and all that. And then after that movie, you skip the time jump, and there is no angry Hulk, it's Smart Hulk. So, like more of a Professor Hulk type character. And, he was funny, but he wasn't like the coolest Hulk ever. It's kind of a bit of a letdown. Although I will say the scene where they go back to the first Avengers movie and they're like, you gotta act like you did back then. And he's like, fine, whatever. Rawr, Hulk smash, and he throws a car, he throws this. But, for the most part, it's just a nerfed Hulk who, I just wanted to see a cool Hulk Hulk out moment, especially when they were like fighting Thanos at the end and stuff. But we didn't get that because they used the Hulk to make the snap to bring everybody back. So they sidelined him for the whole final battle. So he never really got his revenge on Thanos for kicking his butt in the Asgardian ship. So, yeah. The MC, and then in the She-Hulk show, they had to show that She-Hulk was much cooler than Bruce Banner in every way, and then he disappears, and you think you're going to get a World War Hulk thing, which would have been awesome. And I didn't hate She-Hulk, by the way. I mean, there were some parts of it that were like really cringy to me, but overall, I dug the show, except for the weird parts with Daredevil and everything. So maybe I just like maybe 30% of the show. But you think you're getting like a Planet Hulk thing, and you don't. And then the Hulk comes back at the end with his kid, who really looks kind of weird and non-threatening. And then I wonder if they're actually going to use him in any of the new Doomsday movies and stuff. Well, I know they'll use the Hulk, but I mean the Hulk kid, because he didn't really do anything but stand there. Hey, She-Hulk, meet my son. And it was kind of like a punchline more than anything. So, and it'd be nice if they did like a Hulk movie, a new Hulk movie where he did Hulk stuff. So, like a continuation of the Incredible Hulk movie. Not a continuation, more of a future Hulk movie. Because I believe Marvel finally got the rights back from Universal, so I think it's possible for them to do a Hulk movie. But then again, the whole Marvel franchise hasn't been doing that great lately. I mean, Thunderbolts, I really, really like the Thunderbolts, and that one didn't really make any money. And then Fantastic Four started out with a strong weekend. But pause, the inks are done, and now it's time to color the Hulk. And this coloring section could have went on a lot longer because I have struggled with the background here. But I ended up just cutting out all the failed attempts at a background and stuck with this one because this was the one I liked best. I literally cut out probably 10 minutes worth of failed backgrounds. So I apologize if you wanted to see me draw out backgrounds and erase them 3 or 4 times. I'm sure that would have been a lot of fun to watch. But going back to Hulk movies, they could make one. I mean, even Superman. Superman is probably going to be the highest grossing superhero movie this year, 2025, if you're watching this when it comes out. but that did good domestically. It made good domestic numbers, but it did not do good overseas or in foreign countries. Well, all the foreign countries, because they say it's because people aren't too keen on America over there, which could be true. I'm not in those countries. But either way, and Superman is considered a really, really patriotic American hero, even though the movie portrays him more as a world hero. But I'm not going to get all political on this. But apparently, it just didn't have legs overseas, so it made most of its money domestically. And like audiences in China and India, I believe, are a big market for our American movies and help get us to those billion-dollar goals, and it just didn't catch on over there. But I'm looking forward to next year's slate of superhero movies, because you got Avengers Doomsday, you got the new Spider-Man movie, you got Supergirl, and I was always a big fan of Supergirl and Batgirl, so I really want to see the Supergirl movie. In fact, I got to read the Woman of Tomorrow, the story that's sort of based on. The more Kara is suffering from survivor's guilt and all that stuff. So that should be an interesting story, because I'll probably do a Supergirl sometime. I'll try to put it off till next year when the movie comes out, but I kind of like her, so I might not, be able to do that, just because I'll want to draw her one of these days sooner than later. But yeah, I think a new Hulk movie is earned. They could do a World War Hulk or a Planet Hulk. They could do Future Imperfect would be a fun one. They could just do a random Hulk Avenger adventure in current times, just to see if it has any legs and if people would want to watch one of the more far out stories. Because you had the Thor Ragnarok, which I guess was kind of Planet Hulk. And as far as the Tiki Watika, or I don't know how to say his name, but y'all know I'm terrible with names. That movie was alright. I'm not a big fan of the irreverent, silly humor, so I didn't love it, and I definitely did not like Thor: Love and Thunder. He just went too far with that one. The goats and all that, but I like other movies that he's done. What We Do in the Shadows and Jojo Rabbit and things like that. So I just thought he went too far in the Hulk. I think sometimes directors like him, they get a job to do a superhero movie or whatever, and instead of trying to make a good movie, they try to see how far they can push the envelope and get away with things, and they put that ahead of making a good movie. Like, I thought that with the Wolverine Deadpool movie, and the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is cool, I dig it. And then I watched it again, like, it just feels like they're just giving a middle finger to Marvel and saying, hey, instead of making a really good movie, we're just going to make a movie that pushes the envelope to see what you'll actually let us get away with, because people are going to watch this movie no matter what. And that's what I felt Wolverine and Deadpool was. Although I really did like the flashbacks of the different Wolverines when they had the Cavalrine and they had the comic accurate Wolverine, which was an exaggeration. Wolverine, I think, is 5'3" in the comics. So he's not a midget and he's not even a dwarf. He's just, short. And I also liked when they had the brown suit Wolverine fighting the Hulk, and it goes back to the classic cover I talked about earlier, the Incredible Hulk 340 with the claws in front of his face and the Hulk's reflection, and they actually did that in the movie, so that was super cool. That was fun to see. And Hugh Jackman, you can't go wrong. Even in the bad Wolverine movies, he's a great Wolverine. And also the Chris Evans cameo, as soon as I saw him, I knew he was going to be the Human Torch, and just that was hilarious, especially at the end when he goes on his riff about the bad guy and swearing and going nuts. That was good stuff. Although I do think that it's ridiculous that Pyro was able to suck all the fire out of Human Torch. That's would be an uneven matchup in any universe. The Human Torch would easily be able to stop Pyro. Pyro is not that powerful of a mutant unless he had a glow up in the recent years that I don't know about, which is entirely possible. Also, on this Hulk drawing, I went classic. I went with the purple shorts because that's my Hulk. I grew up reading Hulk Smash Hulk, And I also talked about the Hulk in the Silver Surfer Galactus video because one of my favorite issues of the Hulk is number 250. Not because of how great the Hulk is, but because he gets his butt handed to him by the Silver Surfer in that one. And me being a huge Surfer fan when I was a kid, that was like, oh wow, Surfer messed him up. I remember I bought that book not because I knew what happened in it, just because I was looking through the back issue bins. I think I asked the guy at the store, hey, what's a good Silver Surfer book? And they said, look in the Hulk bin, see if there's a 250 in there. And that's why I bought that one. I didn't know the Surfer was going to pretty much just decimate the Hulk like that. But when I saw it, I was like, damn, Surfer's tough. Much tougher than I thought he was, because in his 90s book, you know, he got nerfed pretty hard. He was always getting his butt kicked by Thanos, and, you know, he would usually win after he lost kind of thing. And that always disappointed me, because the Surfer is a character who's, you know, he's cosmic. He's got the power of cosmic. He's like second to Galactus as far as his heralds go. He could create life. He could manipulate matter. He could drain energy. He could fly through a sun. He's super fast, but they nerfed him in the 90s. He always lost to Thanos, and you know, while I could see Thanos beating him every now and then, not every single time, and he beat him easy all the time. Another fun first appearance from the Hulk was Rocket Raccoon. It wasn't his official first appearance. Rocket's first appearance was in one of the magazines. I forget which one. I think it was the one that featured Zatanna, but his first comic appearance was in an issue of Hulk. It's a white cover. A friend of mine found one in a dollar bin once, and I pressed it, had it graded for him, and it came back a 9.8. So I was after dumb luck, and that was at the height of the Guardians movies too. So that book was worth a lot of money back then. I mean, I think I found one for $3 once in a $3 bin. But yeah, that one definitely would not have come back a 9.8. I've also had Hulk 181s. I've had 2 or 3 of those. I think 3. I always got them in weird situations. Like I found them once for $5 each in an old comic book store where I used to live. I found another one for $10 in a box that wasn't even bagged and boarded underneath the table in another comic store. That one was pretty rough. And then I got my best one as I took a bunch of comics I bought. They were a bunch of Silver Age DC books, and I needed a car at the time. So I brought them in to sell, and the guy said, I really want these books. I don't want you to take them anywhere else, which is probably a sign I should have taken them somewhere else. And he offered me a Hulk 181 on top of the money he offered me to get me to sell them to him. And just recently, I actually picked up a 1967 Marvel Hulk sticker. That's really cool. The 66 cards are older, and I'm pretty sure I do have his rookie card for the 1966 Marvel cards. But the 67 is rare. And I've been buying more older cards lately than comics anyway, as far as the Marvel and DC stuff goes. I'm looking for a Batman 1 card that's not a 1.0 from 1966. Yeah, I'm just finishing up the background here, and the Hulk's going to be done. In fact, I left a lot of back and forth zooming out stuff here that I'm not sure why I did. But yeah, so if you enjoy the drawing, press like, subscribe, give me a follow, and I hope to see you all in the next drawing, which probably will not be another green character. But go out there and draw something, and I'll see you next week.